I'll say this, and just because I don't bet live in play at all, especially on MMA, I would, if you watched like let's just say the main live book. I don't really like to name books, but it's like a green one, the main live one.
It's like a green one.
I think we might know.
If you look at that book,
It's like a green one.
in the
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Lines, a podcast powered by Pinnacle that's purifying the sports betting industry. Remember to like, download, subscribe, follow us on all the socials at In Play Live. I'm your host, Shane Mercer. We got Andrew Pace, founder of In Play Live, a community of like-minded sports bettors dedicated to long-term success. On today's show, we'll have our new segment, Grinding With Gosu, and break down the NFL slate for Week 6. That's coming up in a bit, but first, joining us today, we've got an awesome guest. He's the co-founder and CEO of Betstamp. He's the co-host of the Circles Off podcast. He's a pretty sharp bettor himself. Johnny Kappa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. How's everyone doing today?
Great, man. Just really happy to have you.
Yeah, man. It's best time of the year incoming. We have almost NBA season start, but a lot of grinding to do with NFL and college football. It just gets you back into swing. Summer.
So let's start there. How's your NFL season treating you so far? We're 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in.
NFL's been good. I mean, it could always be better, but doing the same things. I like how the markets are progressing every year on NFL. I talk about this a lot on our show on Circles Off, but it's one of the best times ever to be a bettor because there's so many different markets available. You don't just have spread and total. And in the previous kind of era, there would be some player props available, some touchdown scores, some stuff like that. But you could never really get down money on that. So you'd be able to only bet a couple bucks, max bet on a prop, $100, $200. When we're looking at the market now, we're hitting like an inflection point where, because of the fact that all these props are more mainstream now and everybody wants to bet props, you can actually bet some decent money, obviously not as much as you can on the full games, but you can bet decent money on props nowadays for NFL, for example, touchdown score markets, yardage totals, ladders, everything like that. And because of that, it's been a good season for anyone who wants to grind.
Yeah. And a lot of the books now really sort of shoving those markets in your face with a lot of their promos and a lot of their marketing material. They really want you to bet that kind of stuff.
For sure. I think it's the highest hold for the sports books. So, overall, people are losing the most. But a friend of mine once told me, the bigger the hold, the bigger the fear. And what that means is, if you look at MLB, Major League Baseball, let's say money lines, right? You can shop across books. You can get, 1 penny aside easy on the hold there. You can bet into -101, -101. Pinnacle, for example, you aforementioned, will deal an 8-cent line in MLB, -04, -04. So most people make the misconception of saying that's the easiest to beat because it's -04, -04. When in reality, as I just said, the bigger the hold, the bigger the fear, meaning when a sportsbook makes a market -30, -30, that is where you want to attack them because that's typically where they don't have confidence in the market, and you can find some edges there.
Hey, great little piece of advice there. And yeah, that's a really great way to look at it, that, where you're getting worse odds, there's a reason they're worse because the book is a bit scared.
Yeah, and also with these same game parlays, I think they make so much money just on terrible plays that people are betting. They might be betting like just stuff that isn't correlated much, and they're just getting crazy, negative correlation factors applied to those bets. So, for example, you might bet Lamar Jackson to score 1 rushing touchdown and the Ravens to win. Now, obviously, these are correlated because they would assume the Ravens get 1 touchdown, but it's not like a crazy correlation where you can be affording to pay all this big. And if you were to just, let's say, put that same game parlay in, be getting absolutely buried every week. Like you'd be losing like 30 to 40% on those style plays. So because of that, and because that's, the key one that most people are putting in, you actually have opportunity if you want to get creative and starting to look at things with different correlation, negative correlation, everything's infinite possibilities. And it's basically impossible to guard against all of these because it's like thousands, if not millions of, different patterns you can do.
Yeah. And I like what you bring up there. Most people, I think when they're building those, they're just stacking negative EV upon negative EV, and it just gets compounded, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the same game parlays are all about correlation and I guess inverse correlation. So basically either stuff that is going to be like each other and should be priced negatively, or stuff that should be opposite each other and priced positively. And if you can find edges on one of those, you can make a good amount of money right now. That's where I'd be looking actually. If I'm a new bettor looking into the game, go straight to the SGPs and start shopping around and firing.
Hey, love it. Cool, man. Well, we're going to get into some of your betting story and a little bit more of your background and everything. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit more about actual betting that you might be doing right now, because I know that you do some MMA betting too, right? And we're coming off of a pretty a spectacular performance from Peloton. I just wanted to get your reaction to the card this past weekend. And what exactly are you doing in MMA?
MMA is difficult. I will say a lot of people think it's easy to beat, but the limits are very high for MMA. They're, in fact, actually right now higher than college football and higher than college basketball for sure. They're roughly, I'd say, just only behind NFL and NBA right now in terms of how much you can actually get down. People might disagree with that because they don't really have like the wide variety of books that are available. But if you're looking at people who are just like booking straight, booking real, and booking real sports, like MMA is up there. It's very easy to get down hundreds of thousands right now. So it's not easy to beat at all. It's very anecdotal in terms of, who's going to win. A lot of news-based stuff based on, this guy looked good, this guy didn't look good in camp. But yeah, so for MMA, personally, I'm a massive fan of the sport. I watch every card. I watch a lot of non-UFC MMA as well, which is sometimes a bit of a waste of time, but you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
sure. My edge honestly really is like I like to shop around on pricing. So, if you have a variety of like 10 or 20 books that you're going to be able to fire big on at tight holds, you really only need to have like one specific angle that you can beat. And, you'll be able to, let's say, earn 1% and bet into 0.5% hold. You might be able to do something there. So what I try to do is, only bet into a super, super low hold on the market, meaning like I shop around, let's say Peloton might be, let's say, I don't know, minus 400 and I can get Roundtree like plus 390. Well, now, I don't really need a significant edge in order to actually sustain myself there. And I have a couple little tidbits of things that I'd like to look at. Not really anything I could share openly, otherwise it kind of erode it for me. But I have a few little angles that I look at. But the most important thing is always shop around into that negative hold. That way you can actually sustain in the market longer. And if what I'm doing can earn me 1%, then I can stay alive. And if what I'm doing has absolutely zero edge, then I'm not really going to die too quick. I'm just going to lose 0.5%, lose 0.1% on the course of the card,
and have some fun while doing
it. Exactly. I do think there's value in a lot of these larger props as well on MMA. It's not anything that's super liquid. I don't think you can get down a ton of money on them. But for example, like Alex Pereira to get a knockout in round 4.
Yeah.
The pricing on these props like very out of whack when it comes to different books. So I really do like, essentially taking some shots on things like that. Because if you have an angle, like, hey, Pereira, he's really good and he's a good finisher, but he has a history of getting out of the first round and getting some later finishes. So you might be able to find some angles there if you're looking at it. But yeah, I didn't play that. I wish I would have, obviously, but I didn't even have any big size bets on the main event there. Did you guys?
No, I personally didn't. I was just watching it as a fan.
Johnny, it's interesting that you brought that up because I'm kind of rewinding the tape. I'm not a big MMA bettor or even a MMA bettor at all. We actually developed a system where when the fighters came out in the ring, we gave a point for different things from ethnicity to height to tattoos, not knowing anything about them, and we got reverse swept on the card. So I think you might be interested in I think you might be interested in the other side of that system, but. As someone who doesn't bet MMA, something I have noticed is that you used to be able to wager in fight on so many different things that are all gone now, because those must have just had massive edges. Even now, like oftentimes just who's going to win won't even be available once the round is actually on. Whereas I recall like method of victory being open in real time with the rounds, like basically essentially the whole menu almost translating to the live menu, and that being a thing of the past now. Am I accurate there?
Yeah, that was those were up for quite some time. Very, very, very easy to beat without even trying on those ones. So I think there's a reason why those got taken down now. But yeah, you used to be able to bet a guy to win by decision, and that would be staying up to like 2 or 3 minutes left in the third round, and you'd just be getting essentially an arbable price with the money line on the opponent.
Right.
So very, very likely to win on a lot of these if you're piecing it together. The in-play is still there. You can bet the fighters live, but they've drastically cut the limits. Like you're not betting more than a couple $100 live right now on MMA. And one thing I did notice also is with MMA, there's always been a significant problem with the judging, meaning the judges are like, I believe it's basically by the commission. They're not like UFC judges per se. They're just like judges of the commission. And what ends up happening is, a lot of times these judges are well out of sorts, meaning, and I'm not even trying to criticize any one or two people, but when you have a fight and one judge scores at 30-27 for side A and the other judge scores at 30-27 for side B, obviously there's a problem. And that happens like a couple times a month in today's game.
It seems like it happens.
We've seen that. Yeah.
It happens almost every card now. And we had a couple this past weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're having stuff like that, like I said, not even to criticize any judging or any people, I've sat cage side or like ring side I'm a big boxing fan as well. I've sat ringside for a lot of boxing fights, both like amateur and pro fights. And I will say this, to give them defense, it is nearly impossible to tell what's going on from that position. Like I've sat right in the ring and watched a fight and then had watched a 12-round decision and said, I have no idea who won this fight. Like, I don't even know at all. It could be 9-4, or it could be like a 10-8 round every round. I would have no idea because you just don't see it from certain positions. And I think, a better solution would be to just get the judges like watching on monitors somewhere without crowd influence where they can't hear the fighters and just like watching on TV. But the way it is right now, it's out to lunch. So the sportsbooks had to adjust and really take that down a bunch. I do actually think right now something crazy for the tidbit for the listeners here. Some of the live sites that'll offer live in between rounds, like they have to know the cards. They know what was on that round scorecard, because be multiple times where I'll be watching a fight and I'll see it as a clear 1-1, and like Rogan and the crew and those guys will have it like 1-1. They'll be like 1-1 going into round 3, like this is it. And then you'll take a peek at the live and one fighter will be like minus 900 and it'll be like, wow, so it's 2-0 for that fighter.
Wow.
And then sure enough, you can take a look at the scorecards after, and sure enough, it's one fighter 2-0 on two of the cards and 1-1 on one card. And so I don't know how they're getting it, but live, the in plays on a few of the sites have the cards for sure.
That's great information.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Something to keep in mind for sure. Check
I don't really know what you're going to do with it though, unless you're like,
it's great information. You know what I mean? Stay the fuck away.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know what you're going to do with it though, because you can't really get down too much. And
and you don't really want to bet the minus 900 side. Like, who wants to do that? But at the same time, if you're looking at that, like the book is telling you what the scorecards are. That's a whole different way of looking at the line, I guess.
I'll say this, and just because I don't bet live in play at all, especially on MMA, I would, if you watched like let's just say the main live book. I don't really like to name books, but it's like a green one, the main live one.
It's like a green one.
I think we might know.
If you looked at that book,
it's like a green one.
In between.
Go
in
ahead,
between
Johnny.
rounds, there you go. In between rounds, if you took a look at that green site, you went to live in play, and you took a look in between rounds, I'd say you would be there would be a lot less robbery, shocking decisions in your mind because you'd have a lot of the answers in advance.
Cool. I actually want to go back to the same game parlay thing about football that you were chatting about, because there's a couple important things that you brought up. And I think, one thing you said is like, hey, if you're a new sports bettor, that's what I would go and attack. The flip side of that is if you're a new sports bettor, that's what you're betting because you're betting with your fantasy team. So that's what can make some of those markets so beatable. And if you can find correlated bets in an arena where people are like, okay, I'm not even cheering for teams anymore, I'm cheering for my fantasy team. So like, I'm going to inflate the price of Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, the list goes on, right? And especially when you don't have the research about where they're playing, who's defending them, how they play against, zone versus man-to-man, the list goes on. Those are great opportunities. So from that standpoint of going, hey, make a same game parlay, that's kind of contradictory to a lot of the things that we'll talk about on this show. But there's further upside to it too, because when you win one, the books are less likely to know that it was a sharp wager until you've done it with any sort of pattern. So we were talking about this last week on the show, but keeping your accounts is important. And this can be a great way to make some money while keeping your accounts as well.
Absolutely. But to be clear, I don't advocate for just like dunking same game parlays. I'm saying finding inverse or positive correlation that will win you a lot of money. Like a perfect example I can say would be, okay, if you bet Daniel Jones 400 plus passing yards and the Giants to lose, okay? Now, if he gets 400 passing yards and the Giants is like, what are the chances of that? I don't know. I don't have it off my hand, but what are the chances that the sportsbooks completely accurately price that within their 20% hold? I just gave a random example. I have no idea what the pricing on that is, but if you look and just like list out thousands of samples like that, and you can try to price them out, you have the data behind it, then yeah, I've done that multiple times. I found, tens of thousands of different angles that can be played on any given basis for all sports, by the way, not just NFL.
Very cool.
I want to sort of move the conversation forward, like I promised our audience a little bit earlier. We want to learn a little bit more about Johnny the guy and how he sort of got to this place as being one of the premier sharp sports bettors out there, and host of the Circles On podcast and CEO and founder of Betstamp and all those sorts of things. But take us back. When did you first start getting into betting? When did you then think maybe this is something that I want to do more seriously?
Yeah, I can run through real quick. I started betting when I was there's a government lottery here called Proline in Ontario. You guys probably
we're very familiar with Proline. I'm also in Ontario too, so
there you go.
A lot here.
Basically, I started on Proline when I was a kid. I was placing bets that I didn't even know were good bets, but they actually somehow were. I was just getting super lucky. But I would place like Ovechkin to score a goal, and like Backstrom to get an assist, and the Capitals to win by 2. And like I was getting the correlative pricing on that and not even knowing it. So I started off, I was playing those where a couple bucks, $5, $10. And then eventually got my first real site. And then I got a second. So basically what happened was this is a crazy story. So I got a site that I could play on. I placed a couple bets, negative EV bets. Had a bet in on like a Flyers Rangers game, something like that. And I wanted to stream the game. Couldn't watch it. Obviously want to watch it. I think probably like $10 on the game. So I go online to try to like stream this game, like searching like Rangers Flyers stream. I hit, obviously you get the pop-ups. They got pop-up 365, Bodog, XYZ, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, so there's more sites. So I open that site now. And then I realize, oh, my book A and book B, or book A and Bodog, book A and 365 were completely different odds. Like, wow, I can arbitrage these. So literally it was like my first like week betting. I learned that you could just arbitrage through the sites, and kind of took off from there over the years.
Okay, so I think so. You started at a young age though, betting on Proline, right? Like kind of perhaps younger than maybe you should have, kind of thing, right? Which I think we have in common. At
the appropriate age. I mean, listen, I come from a town where gambling is like extremely prevalent. Like everyone in high school has access to betting. It's typically not it was not a frowned upon thing at all. Even just to put a couple bucks on a card game with you know what I mean, with a family member. Like it wasn't frowned upon. So it was a lot easier for me in that sense.
I can understand that. I grew up in a family too, where gambling was par for the course, and you just play small amounts, card games at Thanksgiving and all that sorts of stuff. So I can absolutely relate to that. But give me a sense of what you wanted to be when you grew up. Did you think that you'd be working in the betting industry?
That's a good question. I never really answered this. I haven't answered this question in years, I should say. So I started betting, like I said, from a young age. I found success right away, which is extremely rare and lucky. And just most people, they start, they get into debt, or they lose, or they have a problem, and they learn how to fix it. Like I said, I got extremely lucky. I just learned how to win right away, like right off the bat. And I started networking and building like community off of like just Twitter. And I just started making like all these friends in the community and whatnot. So I went to university, I went to school, and I went to business school and whatnot. And I kind of got like a traditional, good job out of business school and all this stuff. But the whole time I was doing that, I just kept my gambling community, and I would just do that all day, every day. So I remember being in university, and like I had just like crazy like Excel skills, just because I would use them from gambling. I learned everything on myself. I just watched videos to like run some models. I would ask people on Twitter. I asked my now podcast host, Rob Pizzola. We met via just cold DM when I was like a kid. I just DM'd him, "Hey, Rob, like I need some help with some stuff. Like, can I pick your brain? I'll buy you a dinner. I'll do this." I ended up taking him to a Leaf game, and we kind of started a friendship from there. But all this stuff, I remember going to university, and I was already like by far the best in the class at Excel, and like better than the teachers and stuff like that at like running macros and all these things, just from learning this myself on YouTube. So I would go in, and then they'd be teaching like super basic stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, I wonder if this teacher can help me with like this modeling problem I have." So I'd have to like change it so that it wasn't sports betting, so it wasn't frowned upon. And then I'd go after class, like, "Hey, can you help me with this project I'm working on?" And then she was like, yeah, whatever. But she wasn't even any help. Like I was already further advanced to that. So, I got a job and everything like that. Worked for a couple of years. I learned a lot of stuff, made a lot of friends, and it was a good experience. But ultimately, I was always going to do something in betting. And when the time came where myself and my now business partner Julian, we basically had a chance to start Betstamp and basically be at the forefront of like the whole advantage play sports betting stuff. We kind of just like we took it, quit the jobs, called it a day, started it up, and couldn't be happier. We've achieved a lot today. It's been almost 5 years. The time completely flies. But for those of you who don't know what it is, we have it's Betstamp, betstamp.com. Basically, we have the best sports betting tracker on the market by a mile. It's actually used by real pro bettors, like guys who actually bet, use this tracker. It's not a tracker where you have to only directly sync your wager in. You can do different things. You can add multiple accounts. You can do accounting. You can do everything on there. You can do real analysis that would actually be important to you winning more. For example, segmenting by prop type, totals, over, under, CLV, different things, time of day, everything's in there. So it's the best betting tracker. And then we also have what I consider to be the best odds comparison tool product for alternate markets. So we've got odds screen for all game and player prop bets, every book, every sport, every skin, every prop type. So for NBA, we've got like you name it. First to score a basket, that's in there. Points, rebounds, assists, that's in. Rebounds, assists, everything. It's all in there. I'm forgetting some of the markets. I haven't bet NBA in so long, but it's all in there. And so we have that screen. The app is completely free. You can just go to betstamp.com or betstamp.app or download at the App Store. Sorry for the plug. And the pro screen, like the actual odds screen, is really good. The only way to buy it right now is to shoot us a DM on Twitter, and then we kind of, discuss it and figure out a price and all that stuff. But that's what's going on with the pro screen right now. Really cool tool. It's only for like guys who are trying to win and are actually winning at sports betting. This is not the product where we're going to be instructing you on like what arbitrage betting is, or like what why this is a good bet or why this is a bad bet. It's informational, and you do need a brain to be able to use it. But everyone that's using it right now is making crazy money. And like I said, we're in the we're in the golden age for sports betting because you can actually get down on some of the shit, which is amazing.
Sounds pretty great. Yeah, I mean, I think we're reaching the right audience here. Everybody that sort of tunes into our show, or most of the people, are people who are winning already, or at least want to be long-term winners. And it sounds like the kind of tools and resources that maybe we might be using something similar already. But it sounds like you guys have a great suite of tools out there for sharp bettors who are sort of already in that sort of head frame.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's about right now. Is I do feel the industry has shifted a bit in a sense that the guys who used to be considered sharp bettors are now, there's some of them have stood the test of time, but a lot of people are more educated now, and they're starting to realize, okay, this guy wins. This is how he wins. This is what I can actually do, and this is a person I can trust and listen to and respect. Whereas in the past, it was just like, oh, this guy has this record, he must be good. When, there's obviously a lot of things you can do to kind of manipulate and market towards that audience. I think that the customer right now is a lot more educated. The average bettor, I do think there's a larger percentage than ever that actually wins betting sports. And whether that be, winning $100 a month or winning 10,000 or 100,000 a month, I think the number is consistently growing on how many people are actually winning.
Yeah, it would be interesting to sort of see what's out there in terms of that. I want to ask you, because you mentioned Rob, and you sort of just hit him up with a cold DM. But at what point along the way did you join Circles Off? Was it before Betstamp, after Betstamp, and how did that go? Where you guys were like, hey, we should do something more together.
Okay, first, I guess the origin story. Rob and I went to the same high school, although about a decade apart. So yeah, he's older than me. So I DM'd him, hey, buddy, we went to the same high school.
Well, often do you point that out? That
yeah,
he's older
really, yeah. He's like, he is 10 years older than me.
10 years, at least 10 years older.
I don't know. I just wanted to make it kind of known that like we went to the same high school, but it's not like I was in grade 10 and he was in grade 11. Like
right.
We just happened to attend the same high school. But
right.
So we attend the same high school. So I always like to personalize DMs and stuff. I don't just like ask for something. Just, I'd recommend anyone who's DMing anyone do the same thing. Like, make it personal. Hey, I've been watching you, listening to you on this. I know this guy went to the same high school. Let's do this, and this. Any chance I can provide some value to you in this way? And started to kind of just being friends over that. Throughout the years, just built a friendship. I came to him with like the idea for Betstamp before he joined or anything like that. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think? He connected me with a bunch of people in the space as well. He kind of saw the vision and liked it. But ultimately, for him, it was about timing. And once we actually got everything going and started to have some success, I went to Rob, I was like, hey, you got to join this. Like, we need you full time on here. And he's like, okay, I'll think about it, whatever. He obviously accepted. He joined to help us out on Betstamp. Eventually, while we were working there, I said, buddy, there's pretty much no good podcast in the space for sports betting advantage play right now. Obviously this was many years ago. I'm like, well, we got to start one, me and you, and let's just start it and we'll rip it. We got to just be organic, be natural. We have all the contacts, we have all the friends, like we have the info, like let's just do it and people will probably watch. And, to date, it's been a slow grind, but we've built it up to what it is today and people actually watch. And now, Rob, he's the man on the media side. He's doing everything. Like, look at the amount of content this guy's pumping out. He's literally the number one for sports betting media. He's doing live watch alongs. He's doing educational content. He's doing everything, drama style shows. Like, it's entertaining, but also super, super informative. And you can actually legitimately learn off of listening to these shows. Whereas when I was on the come up, like I tried listening to stuff, I couldn't learn shit. Like, there's nothing available.
I'd agree with that 100%. And I would say it's still pretty starved. There's not that much out there. And that's why it's great to have you on the show and to have had Rob several months ago come on the show and just to sort of connect with like-minded people, which is what we're really about at In Play Live, is really sort of, bringing those people together, which is fantastic. I got to ask you because, on this show, we talk a lot about the industry itself. We talk a lot about sort of perhaps maybe some of the more nitty gritty things about what's going on in the industry, in terms of regulation rolling out across the continent and sort of different stages of where it's at. One of the big things we've been watching is the Massachusetts Gaming Council, for example, where they are doing a deep dive into limiting players at the individual level and whether, they think that that's something that should be allowed in that state. What about in the industry, when you look at the industry really sort of grinds your gears or gets you gets you going a little bit?
Honestly, man, nothing much. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. At the end of the day, it's the same in any industry. Like if you're in an industry and that's your thing, then there's going to be something that pisses you off. I learned this younger in my life, and it was a happy lesson for me to learn that there's really nothing in any industry that if you're like the man and you're actually doing stuff, that there's not people who are just like, making quick money, scamming and doing something. So it's going to happen anywhere. I learned it actually from talking to one of my best friends is, in the online personal training space. He's an absolute killer. He's doing really well. And the whole time when he was kind of coming up, it was him just getting mad about how these guys are doing this whole like get a 6-pack in 6 weeks and it doesn't work like that. And, everyone wants to buy those products, but they don't want to buy his, which are real. And, for me, it was the same thing. I was like, wow, everyone wants to just buy these shitty picks online, but nobody's actually like putting in the work. And then I would try to go, get shredded and get a 6-pack. And I'm like, damn, I want that 6-pack in 6 weeks. So it makes sense of why you want to buy those products. Yeah. It's just whatever industry you're in.
Great analogy.
Yeah,
so those are the guys that grind
along there, Pace.
Yeah, well, of course. Johnny, super cool story, man. It's actually really crazy to think, you go from betting on a hockey team in a way that maybe is a little bit unconventional, but also, if you guys remember those sites, you had to put a couple picks together. You couldn't just bet a single, right? So you're like, okay, let's do the OV assist, goal thing. And then that's led you to obviously what you're talking about when we started the show, the same game parlay in the NFL. It's I don't know how long it's been since that first day till now for you, but it still is the same thing that you're doing, which is so cool. And like the story of, being in your class and like really taking the modeling and everything to the next level and really owning that is it's why you're so successful. It's really, really cool story. So huge congrats on all of that. And it's inspirational, I'm sure, to a lot of our listeners and to Shane and myself, with obviously the amount of things that you can do to win in this space. I always say there's a lot of ways to make money from betting on sports, and you're doing a lot of stuff that we aren't doing. It's always cool to hear about it and learn new opportunities. I'm sure a couple guys that listen are going to hit you up and say, hey, saw the episode on Behind the Lines and really interested in Betstamp to learn more about it. So I hope you guys get some good traffic from that. Awesome stuff, man.
100%. Yeah. If you want to reach out to me, I'm a kind of a private guy, but you can DM at Betstamp and just ask for me and it'll find its way to me. So that's the easiest way on Twitter, or shoot an email, contact@betstamp.app, and it'll just go through. But I don't have any social media of my own or anything like that, unfortunately.
Unfortunately or fortunately?
Fortunately for me, I don't have any social media. I like it that way.
So when you said Rob's the media guy, just tell everyone DM Rob.
They do. He gets mad when he gets it doesn't get mad, but he'll tell me all the time, like, bro, people are DMing me, like, yeah, just like get your own thing. But
messaging Rob, hey, can you hook us up with Johnny? I want to reach Johnny.
That he does that about once a week. He'll send something. If I want your contact, here you go.
That's hilarious. Okay, before we let you go, there's something that you do on your show that I really like. And I think it has a great effect with your guests. And that is, you'll ask them a few hypothetical questions. And the way they answer these questions can be very revealing. So I was hoping that maybe you could ask Pace and I a hypothetical question that might reveal something to our audience that they don't already know about us. But just to give an example out there, just so that our audience understands what I mean by it, I'm going to throw a hypothetical question at you, Johnny. Okay, is that cool? Okay,
Done,
so here's the example for everybody out there. So Johnny, would you rather be a podcast host or a podcast guest? And why?
I would rather be it's harder.
He wants to hit the neither button. I know he wants to hit the neither button right now.
Okay, yeah, that's probably true. I don't know how you're reading that off me, but no, I think I'd probably rather be podcast host. And the reason there is I'm a guy who likes to be in control. If you guys listen to me, I think it'd be pretty obvious from the podcast. I like to have that level of control. So I want to make sure stuff like goes well. You know what I mean? I always want to be the guy steering the convo as opposed to letting it be steered. So I choose podcast host. I feel like from a monetary standpoint, you're a podcast host. You have the chance to grow your show and make money there. If you're a guest, probably not as much, but you might be selling something and you make money off there. So I don't know. Good question, but I'd rather be a host.
I like it. There we go. All right. Now your turn.
Honestly, I could bring one back if it's on the spot here that I haven't brought up in a while, but this used to be my signature. Producer Zach actually just walked into the room I'm in, for those of you who listen to Circles Off as well.
What's up, Zach?
We're going to go with the Billy flip. This is my favorite question of all time. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Have you, Pace or Shane?
No.
Oh, this is incredible then. I'm happy you haven't heard it. Okay. So this is a question I made up myself, actually, from inspiration from a few others. The $1 billion flip. Okay. This is how it works. You have a coin. Heads or tails, regular coin, nothing fixed, no funny business, regular coin, heads or tails, okay? You have to call it in the air. If you hit, you win. If you lose, you lose, okay? So that's it is, just a 50-50 bet. You do it one time only. You can never do it again. You have it one time in your life, okay? If you win $1 billion, okay? Obviously a life-changing amount of money for almost anybody. If you win $1 billion, okay? If you lose, you get nothing. All right.
Okay.
So that's the flip. And if I told you, hey, would you like to play? Obviously, you're going to play, right? So assuming you're set to play, but someone's offering you a cash out. So you need to now say, all right, I'm going to sell this flip to somebody else. What is the lowest amount of money that you would sell that flip for? I haven't asked a question in a while, so maybe that's not the most clear. But for example, if I said, hey, I'll buy that flip off you for $1,000, you're going to tell me to go kick rocks. But if I said I'll buy it off you for 500 million, which is the fair EV, you'd probably sell that, given reducing your variance. So what is the amount that you would sell that flip at? Lowest possible.
That's a great question, because right away you start wondering how you would actually be able to sell the full 500, because that's what it is. It's not the full billion, it's the full 500, because that's the fair price. And you'd have to have someone that's actually going to offer that to you. So that whomever is buying it is comfortable with taking the risk and they're charging you for it.
Well, no one's going to pay 500 for it. They might pay for
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you find someone that would buy it for $475 million? That's $25 million of theoretical edge that they're receiving on the wager. And then that's how derivatives work. Then they're going to go sell it to the next person, and then you're going to get down to potentially hundreds of thousands. So
that is the best answer I've ever heard. No one has ever mentioned selling it as a derivative to some sort of institution.
that's how the world works.
$1 million scout.
But the question for me though is like if you just throw that scenario at me and you're telling me I even got $5 million out of it, and you put me in the position, I'll be like, hell yeah, I'll take the 5 mil. But no, in this spot, it's big money. So I think 450 million is fair. That would be my number.
But forget about what's fair. This would be, what is the lowest amount you would take from that right now? So you have to, and where it's basically like one shot, you say, all right, I will not sell this for less than 450 mil. And if I say no, I'm not buying it for 450 mil, you're flipping. And then you're going zero or a bill.
I don't have to go through you.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Let's say it was right now, just me and you.
Okay, right now.
Now you have to make a call.
There's no ability to do the things that I'm referencing.
You can't you have to basically flip or sell it for this lower amount.
I guarantee of every time you've asked this question, this is the longest explanation that's ever occurred.
No. Man, this is my favorite question. So I actually asked it too many times to guess on the pod that people were like, "Hey, enough with the Billy flip."
Oh my God. Jeez, that's a really interesting question, because you have to take a life-changing amount of money, but then as soon as you say the number, you know that you're passing up theoretically 20-1 on the wrong side of the coin, which is crazy, a crazy bad bet.
I only like asking it to gamblers. The reason I actually kind of got this question, I think it was from Mr. Beast, the YouTuber, where he was asking people like, would you want $100 or flip for 1,000? And everyone was like, give me the 100. Or I think maybe it was like, do you want $1,000 or flip for 10K? And for those amounts of money, for guys like us who have actually bet,
we're flipping every time.
Obviously, you'd flip every time. You're not going to take 1K on a 5K EV. But then I started to kind of ask myself, okay, would I take a mil or would I flip for 100? Obviously, I'm flipping for 100. You know what I mean? And then it was like, hey, would I take 100 or would I flip for $1 billion? And now at that point is kind of where you need to ask yourself.
I can't pass up 10-1 on the. I can't pass up 10-1. I'll take 200 mil.
200. So you wouldn't say 199.
I'll pass up 5-1. I'm still so that 5-1 is still in my head, and I would still, even if I lost, I'd still be mad that I passed up 5-1. Like that's hard to pass up.
If I offered you right now 199 mil, you don't take that.
That 5's the number. The 5-1 is where it's 200 for me. Yeah.
You're cashing out at 200, not $1 less. If not, you're flipping.
And I'm still not sleeping well about the decision because it's a bad theoretical decision. Period.
All right, Shane, give us your number.
You know, I'm nowhere near. I'm nowhere near the math guy that paces there. And like he instantly went to the derivatives. Like, I'm sitting here going in my mind like, oh, obviously I think I would sell it for the EV of 500 mil. But then I'm sitting there going to myself like, my life is a certain way today, and if I got 500 mil, that'd be fucking amazing. Yeah. But I have a 50-50 shot at $1 billion. I'm gonna fucking flip it. Let's go. I'm flipping it. I'm flipping it. I'm flipping for $1 billion. Fuck it. Let's go. That's where I'm at.
Some serious math guys actually did the math to like crank out what your net worth would have to be for you to flip, and it was pretty high. And I was initially considering like, oh, I'd flip, but I think I'd probably come down. I realize now, if you just take 100 mil clean, you're gonna run that to $1 billion in your with just sheer time. Anyways,
that's right? A good point. Actually, that's a good point. You could get there with 100 mil easy.
I don't know what the answer is, but yeah, if you're, I guess comment below, comment on that below if you have your number. But I don't know. I mean, listen, 10 mil is life changing for almost anybody, right? 10 million is life changing, but are you going to really take 10 mil and you could flip for $1 billion? It seems
no, you can't. The math doesn't make sense. The math is never going to make sense with what you take. This is how insurance exists. You know that, right? So the math of insurance never makes sense. When you run these probabilities when you're in university, if you do any sort of statistics or math class, and they actually will run the decision tree or the probability tree where they say, should you buy insurance or not? And the math tells you no, but the answer is actually yes because of your actual ability to cover the loss of what you're insuring. So then you end up buying it, and it makes sense to buy it because of the actual reality of these things occurring, regardless of the probability of them. This is a similar situation. It's just the reverse of it.
Yeah, an insurance company is just compounding and stacking like millions of minus 100,000 positive EV bets. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just cashing a couple % on those bets.
Yeah,
and making sense. So yeah, no, that was actually one of my favorite hypothetical questions.
The Billy flip.
The Billy flip. I think it tells a lot about a person because, most people, if given the situation, most people in the world, if given the situation to get $10,000 in their hand or flip for 100,000, most people in the world, like 99% plus, would take the 10,000 and not gamble that on the flip. And I think it's telling once you realize that 99 people out of 100 would take the money and not gamble it, even though they're foregoing 40K in EV. So it just shows you where people are at, and then shows you why there's so few winning gamblers.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it, Johnny. Yeah. Well, that was a lot of fun. And really appreciate you coming on the show, chopping it up with us, asking the hypothetical question. I feel like, I'm a part of the group now. I really, really, really love it, man. It was great having you on the show. And any last message for our audience out there before we say goodbye? I know they can't find you anywhere. So
the only thing I'd like to plug, to be honest, is we do our own show. It's myself, my co-host Rob Pizzola. You can follow him on Twitter. You can follow our show at Circles Off HQ on Twitter. We do once a week video show on YouTube and audio where you can find it. It's called Circles Off Sports Betting Podcast. If you like this, it'll be right up your alley. We have a lot of great guests on in the sports betting space. And a lot of times it's just us shooting the shit about real like gambling strategies. If you watch the show, there's a very, very, very high chance you'll pick something up that will help you win. Unlike these, NFL preview week 6 shows, which you're not going to get.
Which we're about to do.
Sorry about that, boys.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We do it in a little different
angle to it, but we have to call ourselves out sometimes. All right, thanks, Johnny.
All right, have a good one, guys. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, time to dive into our new segment that I'm dubbing Grinding with Gosu. We've got the great Gosu himself here, John Wilson, joining us once again. John, we had great feedback to you joining us last week and kind of breaking down the NFL slate and the NFL week ahead. So why don't we do that again? And we'll start there with the NFL.
Yeah, so I think last week a couple of the teaser recommendations that we gave actually came through. Not that that's why we're doing it, but I think people got good value from some of that stuff where you have a nice plus with an under and that kind of an under being an indicator of what to take. But I just have to say, after coming off of week 5 of the NFL, it is so freaking nice to have 6 early games. Like we have another London game this week, and it's 6 again this week, and like for just the managing of it and your brain process. I don't know what it is. Even that 7th game can just make things a little bit more tricky. I think it's really good advice for anyone that listens from a betting standpoint. Don't worry about every game that's on all the time. And I think we do a really good job of that with college football because there's so many games on that we just choose the 5 or 4, 2, or even 1 sometimes that's going to be a good game for us. And you should take the same approach with some of these busy NFL slates. So, John, we're starting off with Thursday Night Football. The Niners are at the Seahawks, division game, always tricky. Niners -3.
Yeah, I think that line's pretty sharp. The thing that stood out to me is I just think this total's really high for a primetime game outdoors in a divisional matchup with Seattle. You can always get some like humidity, some rain, some wind there. I don't know what the weather looks like, but Seattle looked terrible against the Giants. So I just thought, and we don't know what the Niners kicker situation is. So I probably tapped that under a little bit early in the week, and I think that number is going to go down. So that number just stood out to me. Thought it was pretty high.
All right, then we're heading to London. Jags +2.5 at the Bears.
Yeah, I know. This is like kind of like a home game for the Jags, right? Like they're used to playing over there, and they're an underdog, which I think is interesting. They've been bad, but I think this is actually a really good spot for a teaser. Speaking of teasers, the total is about 44. It's about as high as I typically want to go for a teaser. In Jacksonville, like they won that game, but they came off like a spread loss, and a lot of times catching extra points with a teaser when a team just came off a spread loss is a really good strategy.
Bucks +2 at the Saints.
Yeah, I think this is a higher total, but I still love the teaser here. Divisional matchup. I like the fact that the Bucks are coming off a longer rest period. The Saints are playing on Monday Night Football. The Bucks played on Thursday night, so that's 3 extra days of rest. That's a pretty big deal. And then the back door is always open with Baker and that offense that can move it. So I really like teasing them in this game.
Cardinals +5.5 at the Packers.
Oh man, I don't really like much in this game. I was going to look at the weather. I think there's supposed to be like some wind, maybe some rain, and it's Kyler outdoors. So I was just going to kind of wait and see what the weather looked like in that game.
Awesome. Browns +8.5 at Eagles.
I think the Browns are. So I make this line like Eagles -5.5, but I just think the Browns are totally unbettable. So like I'll probably just take the Eagles because I think until they get rid of Watson, they're just. Like Watson walked off the field when Stefanski was trying to go for it on 4th down, and he just didn't acknowledge that was happening. I mean, he's quit. So as long as he's a quarterback, I think you just have to bet against them.
Texans -7 on the road in New England.
Yeah, I think this line's pretty sharp. I can't lay it with Stroud on the road, but I think it's a really good spot to tease the Texans down. I think this Patriots team is just they're just dreadful. I mean, they lost to Tyler Huntley, and he's been with the team for a week. Outright at home last week. So
probably the most exciting matchup of the week, and the hype is big, and we're getting them as a big underdog. So we got the Commandos +6.5 at the Ravens.
Yeah, another game. I think that line's pretty good. I just think there's going to be a ton of points if the weather's good in this game. So I think the total is really high. It's like 52, but I mean. The Commandos games, they just find a way to go over. And then that Ravens game, there's 76 points or whatever it was in that game yesterday. So crazy.
Chargers -3 on the road in Denver.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chargers off a bye. I kind of like the Broncos at home in the elevation still early in the season. Bo Nix is, he throws the ball 3 yards at a time, but he doesn't really make mistakes. It's I think that total's really low, but it probably deserves to be really low. So yeah.
Steelers -3 in Vegas.
Man, I think this is a good spot for a teaser again. Get the Raiders up through 6, 7, and 8. I think I like the under in this game again, even though it's really low. But I'm afraid to take it because I'm afraid of turnovers with two really good pass rushing teams, havoc creators, and Justin Fields and maybe Aiden O'Connell as quarterback. I can't take an under in a game like that, so I'll just take the points with the teaser.
2 of the 5 weeks with the Raiders, the games have been shockingly under until the fourth quarter. Yesterday being a prime example of it. They seem to continue to fight down 21, 28 points. They've been a tough team for unders. So yeah, I think that I'd run for the hills on that game personally. Falcons -6 against the Panthers.
What a nasty game. I'll probably have to just hold my nose and take the 6.5 with the Panthers, maybe 7 if it gets there, but I probably won't even watch that game.
Lions -3.5 in Dallas. That's probably the other big exciting match of the week.
Yeah, I actually make this close to a pick. I don't really understand why they're laying so many points. I guess maybe the optics of that game, the Steelers, the Monday Night Football game, just how nasty it seemed to look. But Dallas dominated that game. I mean, if you watch that game, they got in the red zone 6 times. They scored maybe 3 of those times. But I mean, they just dominated. So I'm gonna stay away because I just can't trust them to not turn the ball over. But I just don't agree with that line at all. Personally,
Sunday Night Football, Cincinnati against the New York Giants. Cincinnati's 3.5 on the road.
Yeah, that Giants +3.5 is just staring me in the face right now. Really staring me in the face. This Bengals team, it's like I just don't know how much of our perception of the Bengals is just from the last few years. I mean, they played these close games, but they just can't get it done. So I can't back them.
And then an interesting one because the Bills are coming off 2 losses in a row here, and the Jets are in trouble. Monday Night Football, Bills-Jets. Bills -2.5.
Big one for the division.
It's a big one. So I don't know that I've ever seen a game that has as many trends pointing towards the Jets as this one. I have a lot of trends that I follow and stuff, and it's just kind of incredible. I really hope that gets to 3, and I'll definitely be taking the Jets because that's just what a tough spot. It's a low total division game at home. I think it's a good for teasers. I think I like the under in the game, and I like the Jets side. It's just one of those. I think it could be a nasty game.
Nice. So for college football, last Saturday, we saw more upsets of the top 10 than I think I can ever remember. And it seemed a little bit shocking because usually at this point in the season, there's quite a bit of an established dominance towards those top 5 teams. Yeah, some upsets happen in college football, but is there anything that kind of stands out to you this coming week from both a future standpoint with the playoff and obviously with any games on the menu that stick out?
I think that last week was kind of interesting because there were a lot of top 10 teams, but that lost. But I think a lot of them, I personally haven't had Missouri or Michigan in my top 10 ever this year. Even to start the season, Missouri, I liked some futures on because I liked their schedule, but I just from a talent standpoint, they didn't really belong to me. So I think there were a couple of fake top 10 teams that lost yesterday, but it's good for the headlines. Michigan was an underdog in that game. So this week there's a couple really good matchups. So the couple of big ones, Texas, Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry. This game's always insane. This might be one of the biggest spreads I can ever remember on this game. Texas is -15 or something like that. Probably deservingly so. I think this Oklahoma team's just not very good. Tennessee really struggled and lost to Arkansas on the road last week. They really just kind of dominated Oklahoma, especially in the second half a few weeks ago. That now is just to me way more about Oklahoma. That team's just not very good. So I probably just will pass on that game, because those rivalry games, you're trying to lay 2 touchdowns, it's just not a good spot. And then you, at the same time in the afternoon, you have Penn State at USC. So USC was number 11. They went down. They fell all the way out of the rankings, which is hilarious. It's not like it's easy to go from the West Coast up to Minnesota and play outdoors at nighttime. I think that loss isn't as bad as people seem to think it is. No, I'm not sure USC is that great either, but USC, I actually make this game close to a pick. I think Penn State's laying like 5.5 or something like that. So when I look at this game, I just see both offenses are just outside the top 100 in explosiveness. USC, their defense is in the bottom of of rushing metrics, havoc metrics. So I think Penn State's going to be able to move the ball slowly and just kind of grind this game down. So actually, I like the under in this game, but I just can't lay points with small game James on the road there in a game that needs to win to get in the playoff probably. Next toward a lot of good games at night. Tennessee, Florida. This is just a rivalry game from history. Florida's not very good, but I think there's I really want to highlight this game because I think it's a really good buy low, sell high spot here. Florida coming off 2 straight wins, one against Mississippi State, who is easily the worst SEC team. They're a dumpster fire, and then they beat a corpse of a UCF team that everybody had really hyped before the season, and they they showed up like dead on arrival in that game. So I don't know. We made a lot of money on betting on that game in Florida in that game, as you know, on Saturday. So I don't know what that was. And then Tennessee, they're just a different team at home. They're starting Nico's a red shirt. It's his first year as a starter. That Oklahoma game, like I said, way more about Oklahoma. Tennessee's secondary is really weak. I think Florida can get a back door here, so I'm not really interested in laying the 2 touchdowns for the whole game. I do really like the first half, though. I think Josh Heupel's the most profitable coach in history, covering the first half spread. Florida defense outside the top 100 in success rate, bottom half in line yards for the run. So I think Tennessee's just going to run the ball all over them in the first half. So I really like them in the first half there. And then also in the late slate, we have the biggest matchup of the day, probably Ohio State, Oregon. So Ohio State, I have this close to a touchdown favorite. I think it's about 3.5, 4 right now. So I definitely like the Ohio State side. I have some other reasons for that. Oregon just hasn't looked very good. I can't trust Dylan Gabriel at all, especially playing what'll be by far the best defense he's played against all season long. Will Howard is definitely not as talented as past Ohio State quarterbacks like Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, but he's played in a lot of big games when he was at Kansas State, and he's played well in them. Last year they lost an overtime game at Texas, and he was 26 of 41, 300 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's played in big games, hostile environments. Don't think it'll really phase him at all. Oregon's bottom 10 in standard down explosiveness on defense, bottom 5 in rush explosiveness. So I just think Ohio State's going to find some huge plays on the ground and then really get it in the end zone. And then Ole Miss, LSU, our friend Lane Kiffin, back to haunt us again, I'm sure. So LSU is coming off a bye. I really don't think this LSU team's very good at all. I think Ole Miss is better than they showed when they lost to Kentucky, because I think Kentucky is actually a legitimate team. I mean, Kentucky probably could have and should have won against Georgia. They did win against Ole Miss. I think Kentucky's just good. I have them power rated close to in the top 10 almost in my rankings. So I don't think that's really a bad loss at all. I struggle to see why this total is so high in this game. It's like 66.5. It opened up is crazy. So I've already bet the under. Ole Miss is a defensive team. Their defense is better than their offense, which is not what Kiffin's known for, but that's how they're playing this year, and that's kind of where the talent is stacked. Ole Miss is number 3 in success rate offensively. LSU's defense is number 89, so I think Ole Miss will be able to move the ball, but LSU generates a lot of negative plays, so I think some of those drives are actually going to take a long time to score, and both of these teams are in the bottom half of the nation in explosiveness on offense. So I think scoring is going to come in long, methodical drives, not done in chunk plays. So when you got a total that's in the mid 60s, it's just hard to get to that number.
Very hard to get to that number. I mean, the clock keeps running now, right? So
yeah,
that's insane, Gosu. Shane, you want to top anything off there with your analysis, or?
That's a good one, Pace.
Because I sure am not gonna go.
The only thing I have to say in all of this, as we went down through both slates, is that it is like a tragedy that we are going to have to watch Cincinnati and the Giants on Sunday Night Football instead of Detroit at Dallas. They got to flex that. Like the Detroit-Dallas game is like, I want to watch that in prime time. Cincinnati at the Giants, like what are these teams? 1-3, both of them, or something like that? Like, no, thank you. Anyway,
well,
that's all I got.
I just love having different teams on primetime. I know we're gonna get a solid dose of Detroit and Dallas this year. So I'll take anything that isn't those same teams over and over personally. And I think the NFL knows that. They've really fucked up their scheduling with the whole Let's Ride era in Denver, where we had to watch fucking Russ every single night 2 years ago.
Yeah, that
and
was
then
rough.
last year with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers going down in week 1, just obviously brutal. And then the Jets just were watching Mofo and the boys, Zach Wilson, just come out every single day. Just these horrid football games. So I think we're seeing a little bit more of that this season with them just knowing like, hey, we can't put all our eggs in one basket. Like, let's show some different teams. And as bad as Sunday Night Football was this last week, from like a entertainment and viewing standpoint, would I have rather watch Bengals Ravens Sunday Night Football? Sure, but I liked seeing the Justin Fields Steelers team on primetime just to get to know that team a little bit more, get our eyeballs on them when that might be a team that's just buried in that 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern slate where you don't even end up paying attention to them, right?
Yeah, well, I think the league knows that no matter what, we're probably going to watch it. It doesn't matter who it is. Yeah. We'll be tuning in. All right. What an episode, guys. John, looking forward to bringing you back again next week. And I think we'll keep this going because I think there's a lot of actionable intel there that our audience can take away if they look at, whether it influences their live betting or whether they want to make some pregame plays themselves. So, John, thanks so much for doing that. And I think we'll just about wrap it up there. So, to Pace, to John, to our guest of the week, Johnny, out there, and to all of the sports bettors tuning in from around the world. Till next week, guys, keep beating those books.
And if you want to tail Gosu's calls, all of them are available at the lowest juice at Pinnacle. Head over to pinnacle.com/in-play-live.
There you go. Take them at Pinnacle. All right, guys. See you later. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Lines. Remember to like, download, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Have a betting story or want to be featured on our podcast? Drop a note in the comments below. And if you want to join In Play Live, use promo code Behind the Lines.